All right. Let's see if we can get this going. Trying to get Addison on here. Trying to get Addison on before we get moving into talking about the game, this wild game. All right. Now that I've published it to Facebook, I think Addison is about to come on. Making sure he's got the right ID. What a game. What a game. Wow. My voice hurts a little bit. Sorry. I was, yeah, Mississippi State defeats Auburn 39-33 in a wild Mississippi State game. Honestly, the most Mississippi State of Mississippi State games I have ever seen. Goodness gracious, my voice is just about gone. Before Addison comes on, or before we really get started, first, let me thank maroonandwhitenation.com for publishing everything that we put out there. You can check out my articles, Addison's articles, mine and Addison's podcast, Cowbell Off Campus. It's all on maroonandwhitenation.com. It's just a Mississippi State sports blog site that's made for the fan, just like me, just like you, just like Addison. We're just two average Mississippi State fans making content for the average fan. So we're so thankful that you're tuning in. If you haven't subscribed and left a 5-star review on our podcast, we'd love for you to do so. It's Cowbell Off Campus. It's our Maroon and White Nation. It's our Maroon and White Nation podcast. It's through the Fan-Sided Network. So whatever platform you're listening on, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcast, any of the podcast platforms, you can subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Here, if y'all want to see some me being absolutely not, this is a look into my life. I do that sometimes whenever other opponents miss field goals for us to be able to win the game. So, wow, what a game. What a game. Waiting for Addison to go on to be able to ask him some questions and kind of get his feedback from the game. But wow. I don't have words to put there because we go up 24-3, right? I don't want to get too far into it because I think he's almost on. But can I get his feedback? Trying to look. This is my first time doing YouTube Live, so I'm trying to check out to see if what I look like and all that kind of stuff. So my apologies for making this semi-rough, but I want to be able to get Addison on here before I can kind of start asking him some questions about the game and everything. But let's go through the stat sheet. We'll pull up tonight's game. 2 in a row versus Auburn. That's always a big deal. Here we go. We'll go through Auburn's first. Oh, there's Addison. There he is.
Yeah, I got to get my headphones. One sec.
You're good. I'm running through the stat sheet right now, and so I'll come back to you after I run through the stat sheet. But
hold on. I can't hear you. One sec.
So we've got Robbie Ashford, Auburn's quarterback, who was 7 of 22 on the night. Honestly, rough. Whoa, that's really bad when I look at it on paper. Good grief. How did we manage? Hold on. I need to can you hear me yet, Addison?
Hold on.
Holy smokes.
I got you.
There he is. Okay. So I'm running through the stat sheets for everyone. Listen to this. Robbie Ashford, Auburn's quarterback, 7 of 22 for 70 yards on the night.
Wow.
How did they manage to stay in the game?
That's an insane stat. I'm trying to get the stats and everything pulled up right now too. That's crazy. That doesn't even seem real, dude. What were they doing? How many rushing yards did they have? Also, real quick, this little book behind me on the floor is a moment of rage tonight that you're seeing. So I probably should have cleaned that up, but that was something that got chunked during the middle of the game. So
okay, so to answer your question, I'm going through their rushing stats. Auburn finished with 261 rushing yards compared to our 13 on the night. And their leading rusher was their quarterback. Robbie Ashford led the team in rushing with 18 carries for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he was their leading rusher. He was their leading playmaker. Just to go ahead and get started with some of the questions for you, Addison, we said they had to stop Tank Bigsby, and I think Mississippi State did that, but it's almost as if they didn't prepare for Robbie Ashford. And it's not even like me and you talked about it much. What are your thoughts on Robbie Ashford and the Mississippi State defense?
It just goes. It's what's plagued us all year. Jaden Daniels. It's those guys. I think if Arkansas has their quarterback in, we're looking at a different game there. Now after playing this game for sure, I think that I think when we get the backup against Auburn, I think that's what really gave us the chance to go win the game, because these running quarterbacks that can do this kind of stuff on their feet. Our defense has trouble with them, a lot of trouble with them. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, 18 carries, 100 yards. That's a great game for a quarterback. 2 TDs. I mean, that is wild. And for some reason, we can't stop it.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Looking forward, that'd be something we talk about a lot on the podcast. I like Stetson today. He looked good on the ground.
Yeah.
Of course, Jackson Dart is a guy that can make plays with his legs. With these last few games, that's going to be big. Tank Bigsby did have a decent day. I said we didn't stop him. The man had 13 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. Many Auburn fans that I interviewed this week were saying he needed to have 100 to be able to beat Mississippi State. Well, I think they were right. I think if he has about 10 more yards, they probably win the game.
I agree.
And he finishes with 94 and a touchdown. They've got Jarquez Hunter, who had a really good night as well, 12 carries, 54 yards for a touchdown. They ran the ball on us, especially when we got tired.
Yeah.
So before I really want to compare the Mississippi State of two halves, but before, let me just really quick run through Mississippi State stats. Will Rogers finishes 42 of 59 for 357 yards and 3 touchdowns and 1 pick. And then we've got Jaquavius Marks, 7 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. But due to sacks and people getting hit behind the line, we only finished the game with 13 rushing yards. It was just pathetic on with special teams combined with getting sacked. All of that was really rough. We had our leading receiver was Ra Thomas. Great game. I would say one of his, if not the best game he's had all season, with 6 receptions, 84 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Addison, I believe I need to make sure of this. I believe we have a couple questions coming in on the live feed. Let me make sure. Really rough. We had our leading receiver. Let's see. It's Luna sends in. Do you think we fulfilled all 3 of AT's 3 keys to victory tonight?
We did stop Tank, we did do that. But I think just playing the fundamental game that I was talking about, we definitely didn't do. We looked kind of sloppy. We looked sloppy. I think there was a lot of things we could have done better. I don't know. I honestly, I don't think we really had to. We didn't play a perfect game. We didn't play close to a good game. We didn't play a good game at all, and we still came out the victor. We still won in overtime. I don't know. There was a lot about the game that was disappointing, but I think overall, I mean, we came out with a win against the SEC team at home at night. It is a good game, I guess, at the end of the day. I wasn't proud of it. It reminded me, we looked kind of like Missouri in this game a lot, where we just couldn't get things going. And I don't know. It really was kind of disappointing. And it made me think about the rest of the season, like you were talking about, when we got to go face a good Georgia team and a good OM team too at the end of the year. So who knows?
So your 3 keys were stop Tank Bigsby, no stupid penalties, and what was the third one?
I thought it was defense need to play fundamental, something around that, like make tackles, that kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe that was the no stupid penalties.
Oh, got to get the ground game going. We didn't do that one.
Ground game. Yeah, that's it. Ground game. Yeah, actually, I thought about that before I even hopped on here. Yeah, that was the one thing we didn't do, was get our ground game going, and we did win the game. And we did have stupid penalties too. I mean, the false start at the end there that really killed us. I mean, honestly, one of the big reasons we had to go into OT in the first place was because of that false start. So, we didn't play fundamental or good at all.
Speaking of fundamental, what was wrong with LaQuinston Sharp tonight?
I don't know. Maybe rusty. Who knows? I don't know. I really don't know. I wish I had an answer.
That was an issue that took place from the first snap of the ball game, to where Will Rogers is catching the ball up above his head, to his right, to his left, below his knees. He had to go all over the place for the ball tonight. And then in a crucial situation to win the football game, he snaps the ball on the ground and it rolls on the ground, and you get a false start penalty. I don't even know if that was the correct call right there.
Right.
But either way, no matter what happens there, it hurts you. And LaQuinston Sharp, definitely, I think you're right. I think it was rust, but he definitely hurt us in tonight's game. We've got another question for you, Edison. Why does Will Rogers just sit there? Why can't he get out of the pocket?
That's something that I think about all the time too. And we saw him do it at the end there. The run play, what was that, a 15, 20-yard run he had at the end of the game? I mean, that was and it looked good. I don't know. I think that's a decision-making thing. I'm getting fed up with it, to be honest. I'm getting there's things I'm getting tired of. I don't think he has to run, but he's got to be able to move in the pocket. Like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, they don't run. They're not runners, but they know how to move in the pocket to avoid sacks. Rodgers turtles, and you can't turtle and be a winner. To be a winner, you've got to go think. He did it once. There was one time pocket collapsed on him. He broke a tackle, went and made a throw. And I was like, okay, that's what a winner does, Will. That's what a winner does. And he did that in this game towards the end. He gave our team a chance. Let's be honest. Will did what he could at the end of the game. We took a couple shots. We went down. We made a field goal to go send us into overtime. Then we did what we needed to do. It's tough. I mean, there's a lot of times where I feel like he needs to be quicker with that decision to get out of the pocket and move or run. And I think that's the one thing he needs to work on to really go from being a decent to good quarterback to being a great quarterback.
My mind is so all over the place right now from the craziness of that game. Remind me, was Will Rogers run on the drive where he took us down the field to tie the game?
I think so. It also could have been in overtime. I don't know. Mine is too. And I told you before we hopped on here, I barely even remember the first half because the second half is like all I can think about. Like that's like I don't even really remember what happened in the first half because we played well. I guess I was just like, paying attention to LSU, Alabama. I wasn't really worried about it. Second half kicked in and yeah, I don't know where I'm at.
Well, that was unbelievable for him to take off for 17 yards and go get a first down and put us in field goal range, whether it was to end the game or whether it was to put us there to tie the game. But yeah, let's talk about the comparison between the first two halves. But first, let's get to It's Luna's next question, which was he said he didn't get to watch much of the game, but did Will Rogers end up looking downfield a bit more in those high intensity moments instead of the dink and dunk passes?
He did not. He did not. He did not. We had a good touchdown pass to Ra. Great touchdown pass to Ra. He had good throws, but there was several times where the guy's in the pocket for whole seconds. I'm talking 3 to 5 seconds, and he would not find anyone downfield. I would see an open receiver on the field on the screen. So he's not seeing it. And then he dinks it. And instead of waiting, there's no one around our runner. It's just, I don't get it. I can't even put it into words because I was so frustrated on several occasions. And I say that he dinked and dunked. I mean, I'm looking at Ra had 6 catches. Rufus had 5. Austin had 6. Caleb had 2. I mean, we spread the ball out to our receivers. A lot of those were short passes. We just didn't really do what I wanted us to do. Our receivers or our running backs combined for 11 catches in this game, which is fine. It's fine that that's a thing, but they only got combined. They only got, let's see, 9. They only got 16 yards on 11 catches. 16. That's what I'm talking about. That's why the dink and dunk doesn't work. Dylan Johnson and Marks literally averaged 1 yard a catch. They had 1 yard a catch. That's what's wrong with the dink and dunk, and that's why we got to look downfield. We just can't keep doing that.
Guys, I started laughing so hard there I had to mute my mic because Addison and I FaceTimed each other in the middle of the game to talk about how everything was going because we watched Mississippi State dominate Auburn for 2 quarters tonight. Like, I'm talking about, my mind started to think I'll be focusing on the Alabama LSU game
I'm gonna have fun.
come quarter number 3. I'll be focusing on that game because I really thought at the end of the first half we should be up 38-3 because of 2 turnovers, and we were still up 24-6, which was kind of blowing my mind. And I was thinking, I feel too comfortable as a Mississippi State fan, and I knew it. So I can't say that I fooled myself because I knew I was getting too comfortable. Because as soon as that third quarter started, we saw a Mississippi State team come out differently. Addison, what happened?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Cadillac definitely got his boys hyped in the locker room. There's no doubt because Auburn came out different too. I don't know what happened. Maybe we were thinking the same thing. Maybe we're just running over this team. We looked lackluster. We looked slow. There was no urgency. There was no. It just, we looked like we didn't care in the second half. I don't know what happened. I don't know how you go from the first half like you do, where things are rolling and moving. Momentum. We've talked about it all season on the podcast. Momentum carries our team, and it's like the momentum did not carry our team in this game. I don't know. I really or maybe the game plan was working. We didn't switch the game plan. Auburn adjusted. I really don't know what happened. I want to say that was it, but our boys looked slow in the second half. Things did not look like they were urgent. I even sent you a text, even going into overtime. Cadillac's got his boys on the sideline holding up fight, like he's getting them hyped up. Our boys are standing over there looking like they're ready to go home and get into bed. It's just different mentalities. Our mentality wasn't right today. We finished them out. We played well in overtime. We did. We played really well. I don't want to take anything away from them. But I don't really know what happened. Honestly, it was a surprise.
You say it was a surprise. This is Mississippi State football, and I don't know that I can be surprised by anything up to this point in my almost 26 years of being a Mississippi State fan. But when you think back to last year's game versus Auburn in 2021, how similar are these two games, but opposite?
Yeah, flipped. I was thinking about that earlier. They're very similar. I mean, like score-wise, comeback-wise, except thank goodness we finished and won, and they didn't win theirs when we came back. But yeah, no, I was thinking about that during the game. I was like, man, I don't want this to be. Well, actually, at halftime, I thought about it. Came in, sat down on my couch, looked at the score, and I was like, uh-oh, this is what it was last year. And I thought that maybe same thing you did. Maybe I'm sitting here looking at it going, this is Mississippi State. Maybe I did. Now that I'm thinking about it, I did kind of check myself at that moment when I sat down on my couch. And because I was getting ready to watch LSU Alabama, I was getting ready to have a good evening. I was going to chill, maybe order some wings. I didn't even order the wings that I wanted to because I got so nervous. I literally didn't even get to eat the dinner that I was excited about. I had a sandwich out of my fridge. It's craziness over here right now. And I know the people in my apartment complex are getting ready to probably call the police because I was jumping up and down. I'm on the second floor, so I'm sorry to my neighbor below me. It's been chaos.
Let's see where Auburn kind of dominated tonight. Obviously, we've talked about it. Rushing yards just pathetic on our end of we had 13 total rushing yards to end the night. We were at one point negative 22 rushing yards in the middle of the game. So at least we finished positive, but Auburn finishes with 261. Auburn fans could be saying the same thing about passing yards. We finished the day with 357 passing yards. They finished the day with 70. If Robbie Ashford was a passer, a passing quarterback, we would have gotten beat tonight. Zero doubts, ifs, ands, or buts about it. Robbie Ashford would have beat us if he could have passed the ball down the field.
There's a couple things right there. Number one, 13 rushing yards. That was the final, or 18. Was that what you said? No, it was 13. 18 was the final. Oh, 13. Okay. Yeah, 13 rushing yards. Will Rogers doesn't run that run at the end of the game. We don't end in a positive in rushing yards, which is crazy. That is insane. That is absolutely absurd. Dylan Johnson had 3 carries. 3. Why are we not running the football? Why? I don't. We two back system all night long. We were in the two back. We were in the two back. We've got Sharp back. It's not a personnel problem now. It cannot be a personnel problem. We were thinking. I was saying maybe it's the offensive line. Can't be. We've got our starters in. What happened? I don't get it. I don't understand why we didn't run the football. 13 rushing yards is unacceptable, and we've noticed that. 62 passes is great. Or I'm sorry, 59 passes for Will is great. I love that we're throwing the ball a lot, but it obviously does not work. And 357 yards on 59 attempts, I'm sorry, not okay. I need you to be putting up more than 400 on 59 attempts.
That's such a that tricks everyone who didn't watch the game. If someone didn't watch this game and looked at that, like, oh, Will had a really good day through the air.
Yeah,
that's false. That's a complete lie. He had a good first two quarters, which even then he only threw for, I think he finished the first half with 197.
yeah.
That would say he did well, because at the end of the first half, I was like, man, he's throwing the ball downfield. He had that touchdown pass to Ra Thomas in the end zone. It was a deep ball downfield. He's looking good. Second half, dink and dunk all day long. Yeah. I mean, he was not looking downfield for anything until he had to. And it's like when he had to, it opened up all of a sudden. And for me, that's frustrating because it's like we could have done it all game, but when we had to, we did. And it's like, why wait? Why wait until the end of the game to do that? But
yeah,
frustrated all in all with
I agree.
With what happened. Going back to Auburn winning some of the stat sheet, Auburn finished time of possession higher than we did, with 32 minutes and 12 seconds to our 27 minutes and 48 seconds. Thoughts on the time of possession? Does that mean anything?
It does. It does for us, for the way we play. And obviously it does, because we noticed second half, our defense looked slow. They looked tired. They looked we don't have the backups that Alabama and honestly, Oklahoma and Texas and A&M and Georgia and Clemson and all the studs that you see across the country. We don't have the backups that they do. We're playing our guys all game. Time of possession matters for us, and especially the offense we run. The offense we run is, let's gain 5 yards a game. Let's gain 5 yards here and there. Then let's gain 15. Then let's gain 5 yards here and there. And we do that so that we can eat up clock, run long possessions, and kill you. And it really is. Because, I mean, if you think about it, 50 passes a game means that a lot of our wide receivers are running a lot. They're running a lot. So their cornerbacks, their safeties, those guys are going to be dead come into the fourth quarter, because they're not used to having to run 40 times a game downfield and guard somebody. And so we do that. We have these long sustained drives so that in the fourth quarter we can take over and go dominate. That's what you saw in Auburn last year. You know, they got tired and we tore them up. It's different now, though. It's different. I don't know what happened today. If we don't have time of possession in the end of the game, our defense is dead. They're tired. And we saw that today. We saw Auburn come back and make it a game.
Hey, we've got 2 more questions in since we were looking at the stat sheet. Parker Young sent in, does it bother you when you look at Auburn's head coach jumping up and down, ready to play, and Leach looks like he couldn't care less about the game?
Yeah, that is frustrating. It is. It's tough. Like, that's not Leach's style. Leach is excited in different ways and at different times.
Hey, but real quick, because I've told people this since you told me, explain what you were telling me, what he did at Arizona.
Yeah, he was in there. Like, there was like they would come off the sideline and he was like getting in their tails. He was like fired up the whole time. I mean, he really was. He was like getting him over there and he was like yelling at him like Leach would yell. You know, he's still kind of an awkward guy, but I mean, he was definitely excited, like stuff that I've never seen on TV. He was not Zach Arnett. Zach Arnett's a different animal completely. Don't get me wrong. And he was not Cadillac Williams, because that's yet again a different animal, but he was getting excited.
Has everyone seen Leach folding up the chairs on the sideline tonight? Gosh. Did you see that?
I did not.
Dude, you got to go look at Twitter. Let me see who tweeted.
That's what I'm saying. He's different. Oh. He's a strange dude, but he does get excited. But there are times where I need him to bring a level of energy to our boys. We need to get our boys up. And honestly, like, I will say one thing about Leach. I think he knows that we need that. That's why he hired Zach Arnett, and that's why he hired our strength and conditioning coach. That's what they do. That is what they do. Our strength and conditioning coach is a different animal altogether. I mean, that dude is he's a psycho almost.
Yeah.
Love the guy.
That dude's got pre-workout that he injects into his veins every morning.
He is pre-workout. That dude is pre-workout. That's it.
Hey, so no context college football. I'm sure you follow that Twitter account, but they've got Leach folding up chairs and
see, like all the players this is how they know they're going to get killed on Monday. They're like, oh my God, coach is over there folding chairs. Oh my God. Like, he's a weirdo, but that's what he does. I mean, that's him getting excited.
I believe that was the drive after they went up, or maybe put it within 5. He went over there and started folding up the chairs on the side. He's like, my players aren't going to sit down in between drives.
I actually like that.
like
I do too.
Like y'all aren't going to sit down. I'm just going to fold these chairs up and y'all are going to stand right beside me on the sideline the whole time. So
oh man, honestly,
awesome.
I do that. You see a book on the why did I throw a book? I started doing that kind of stuff too. I started folding earlier because I didn't know what else to do. I folded clothes, so I mean, maybe I probably would have been folding chairs too. Who knows?
Hey, so it's Luna sent in another question and said, did you ring your cowbell this morning, Addison?
I sure did. So now we know why we got the win. So.
Hey, that had to be the only reason that we won tonight.
First thing I did when I woke up, my cowbell was in the car. I walked downstairs. It was raining outside here. Went and got it out in the rain, cold this morning, and made sure that was the first thing. So
Addison, listen to me right now. If you don't ring your cowbell on Thanksgiving morning, I will. I will drive. I will be in Birmingham in Thanksgiving. I will drive over to your house and make sure that's the first thing that you do.
I will definitely do that.
I can't. You can't risk it. That is it. You cannot risk Thanksgiving without waking up and ringing your cowbell. Dale Young sends in. Here's his thoughts. Will looked like the Statue of Liberty in the pocket. Special teams really hurt us, but ironically bailed us out by making a field goal. Play calling still sucks. Defense was solid considering. I want to hit on special teams.
Statue of Liberty in the pockets. That's one of the best things about Will Rogers I've ever heard, and it's unfortunately so true. Oh my gosh.
So special teams. What's up with the 15 or less yard punt?
Dude. Seriously,
that's
what
bad.
That was so. Anyone that's watching this right now can do a better job than our punter did today. What does he do? What has he done all week? What has he done all year? Does he know what a punt is? Are we sure he knows how to punt? Like,
so the first. Let's see, until the Kentucky game. So the first, we had one loss. I guess we would have been 4-1 at the moment. 4-1, 3-1 at Kentucky. 4-1. No, we were 5-1 when we went to Kentucky, weren't we?
Yeah, lost LSU. Yep.
So 5-1 at Kentucky. Our punter had looked great all season long. Of course, you had your issues with field goals, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At Kentucky, we saw for the first time there being problems with the punting team. Then we go to Bama and you get another, I think against Bama, it was an 8-yard punt. And of course, an 8-yard punt is very bad. Will Rogers can just throw an interception. That would be better than an 8-yard punt. Then tonight we have a punt that's less than 14 yards. Now I'm concerned that it's 3 straight games and we've had punts for less than 30 yards. Like, that's pathetic. And if it is Mike Leach who is leading our special teams, he's our special teams coach, then something needs to change and he needs to bring somebody in or I'm about to get furious.
Yeah, you need to hire. You absolutely have to hire somebody at this point. It's ridiculous. It's one of those things that you cannot have. I'm looking at the stats here. We brought in 2 different punters. The longest punt all day was George Gerlopoulos for 41 yards. That was his longest punt, was 41 yards. If that's like your average, that's okay. But that's the longest punt you hit. The other guy, it looks bad. Average 35 yards a punt. I mean, that's awful. That is terrible. You're not doing your team any favor. If you're averaging 35 yards a punt, then you need to have every single punt you hit be in the 20-yard line. Like you're down in everything, down in the end zone or down like near the end zone. You can't do that when you're punting out of the middle of the field like we were. That was ridiculous.
So everyone knows that's just pathetic. Let's talk about play calling. What's your thoughts on Mike Leach's play calling and the air raid offense? I know me and you text back and forth a little bit in between the game. Let's be realistic. Let's not think win yet. We'll talk about that at the end of the podcast to end on the positive note. Let's talk about in the middle of the game. Me and you were texting back and forth about the air raid. What are your thoughts?
There's a lot there. I mean, we alluded to it already. We need to run the ball more. We just need to get the ball on the ground more. We have to. We can't dink and dunk. We've got it. There's got to be something different. At the end of the game, we've got 35 seconds left. We've got 35 seconds left. We go down. This is something I do remember very vividly. We got 35 seconds left. We're driving down the field. We have a chance to go win the game. We need 6 points to win, 3 points to tie. 35 seconds, 2 timeouts. We drive down the field. Oh, no, 1 timeout left. We spike the ball. I don't know why. I don't know why we don't have a 2-minute offense where we can just run down, line up, and make a play, go outside. Let's get us out of bounds and stop the clock. I don't know why we don't have that, but we don't. So we go down, we spike the ball. That's fine. Now we've got plenty of time to go run a play. We go down and we run a freaking screen to the middle of the field. We've got 1 timeout left. So now we have to call that timeout. It's 3rd or 4th down. Now we've got to go kick a field goal. Hope our field goal kicker makes it to send us in OT. It was ridiculous. It was crazy. How do we not run a play to the outside, get us out of bounds? Like I was watching that and I could not fathom it. I was like, this is like coaching 101. Do not get down here and bring it to the middle of the field and make us use this timeout that we don't have to use right now after we just spiked the ball. And it was crazy. That's when play calling has got to be better.
Yeah, I texted you in the middle of the game, and I'm fed up with dink and dunk because it doesn't help us. It actually hurts us more than anything else. You're looking down when you're not looking downfield or you're not running the ball, your offense is not moving. And so that's what I'm frustrated with. Dale Young just sent in Addison's spot on. So thanks for filling in. Addison's just agreeing with you, Dale. So you're spot on.
Yeah, you are
on all of the bailed us out by making a field goal. Play calling's awful. Defense was solid. Let's hit on that. Let's move. Well, actually, first before we move towards positive, William McAdamson's in on Twitter, our fans are blowing up about Leach and with our rushing stats and refusing to run. And I feel like Leach would rather lose his way than change his game. What are y'all's thoughts on Leach staying?
Oh, that's tough. I almost agree to some. It's like, I don't know. Does he think that he can? Is he just like hard headed? He thinks he can win his way. That like he doesn't think running's going to work. And we were talking earlier in the year. It's a good point because we were talking earlier in the year about how we have to run with Dylan Johnson. Obviously, he didn't see something in Mark's. 7 carries for 45 yards today, averaging 6 yards a run. So why are we not giving him the ball more? You're averaging 6 yards a run. I mean, like, it's just, why are we not handing it off all game? Like, if I have somebody averaging 6 yards doing whatever it is, that's all we're going to do until they stop it. That's it. That's all I'm going to run the ball until you stop it 2 times in a row. And then after you stop it a second time, I'll change it up. But I mean, 7 carries for 45 yards, that's a great day. Dylan Johnson had 3 carries. I know I've said that already, but like, that's just not acceptable. I hope that he's not okay or just wants to lose his way or whatever. I hope that he's not that hard-headed or stubborn. I don't know what it is, or maybe, and honestly, maybe it's Will Rogers. Maybe it is if we had another quarterback that could read the defense a little better, because there was times where like Will could have thrown downfield. And if we had a Gardner Minshew that was putting up 400, 500 yards passing, we wouldn't even give a crap about the run game. But we're not seeing that. And I don't think it's all on Will Rogers. I really don't. But I'm just saying that has to be a factor in the offense, because there were times where he could have hit somebody downfield and he didn't. And that does change the offense.
Will Rogers' pocket awareness has to get better. He never knows when someone's coming off the blind side, which I know that can be tough, and you have to have someone at left guard who can really block someone. And Kobe Jones got rocked one time, like just
Mhm.
absolutely
Mhm.
beat off the left side. But when you've got a guy like Hendon Hooker was getting destroyed by the Georgia defensive line all day today, but he was moving out of the pocket all day today. He knew when someone was coming from his backside. He's running around. He's trying to make the play last longer. And if you can get someone like that in the Mike Leach offense, everything begins to change in a positive way.
Yeah.
We've got 7.5 minutes left on our Zoom. So getting to the rest of the questions, I just real quick, what are your thoughts on Leach staying? That's what Will sent in at the end of that thought.
Oh yeah. I think we could come back to that after the OM game and after the bowl game this season. I don't know right now. I don't know. I don't think we fire him this year. I think we
I
give
don't
him
either.
another year. But I think that he needs to be in the hot seat. I think that he needs to have a warm seat going into next season.
Typically, 3 straight Egg Bowl losses mean that you're fired. That's what happened at Ole Miss whenever Dan Mullen beat them 3 straight times. So I would assume he would be on a really hot seat, not even with our athletic director, but with President Mark Keenum.
Yeah.
I feel like Mark Keenum cares a lot about it.
That's another good point too. We do have a new AD coming in. They're gonna have a really tough decision to make early on. Could be potentially seeing them make a big hiring decision quickly if Leach doesn't get it together. So
one more question. Should we change the offense strategy name from Air Raid to Dink and Dunk Raid at this point?
We probably should. It should be we're gonna throw 3-yard passes a game raid or something. It's definitely not an air raid, that's for sure.
So there's frustration, obviously, from myself to Addison to you guys on the chat to the YouTube live, like frustration all over the place. I feel like we've been more frustrated than anything. But Addison, we won tonight. We Mississippi State defeats Auburn 39-33 in overtime to get their 6th win of the season, heading to a bowl game for the whatever straight year in a row. We're like the number 1 team for the most consecutive years in bowl games. We're continuing that streak this year. That's a big deal here at Mississippi State. That's a big deal in the state of Mississippi, period, between Ole Miss, Southern Miss, and Mississippi State. Let's look on the positive. Man, that's a big win.
It's a big win. So it's a big win. It's a win against the SEC team, an SEC team that's typically better than us. It's a big win. That's a win against Auburn, a good program. Their program's in shambles right now. Absolutely. They had a former player coach come in and those things, you never know what's going to happen. We knew their boys were going to be playing up. We knew they were going to be playing excited. We knew that this was a chance. We saw that with Knox back in the day when we went in and beat Louisville. We beat a Heisman quarterback at that time with the interim head coach, and we beat them well. We played well with a backup quarterback, in KT. So these things happen. I mean, yeah, Auburn, the best chance Auburn had to beat us was with everything that happened this week. Harsin getting fired. Harson's coaching this game. I don't even think we're having this conversation right now. I think we beat them handily. And that's what's crazy about it. Their interim head coach, everything that happened gave Auburn the best chance to beat us. We still won the game. Had a good crowd in Davis Wade. Looked like it was packed and loud. Looked like we were hostile, which is great. Love to hear it and love to see it. At the end of the day, you're right. We beat an SEC team. This extends our we're 3-3 in the conference now. We got some big West wins. Now we got to go play Georgia. Now we got to go play OM, and we can hopefully finish out 4-4 in the conference this year, and then hopefully we can win 8 games. So
William said 13th straight year, I believe, going to a bowl game. That's
awesome.
That's ridiculous, guys. We gotta take some pride in that of beating an SEC West school. Anytime we beat an SEC West school, it's a big deal, y'all. We're still middle, lower tier SEC. Unfortunately, that's how we're looked at, and getting that win puts us one step closer to getting over the hump and getting to the upper tier SEC West schools. So, hey guys, I watched, while I'm watching our game, I watched LSU take the lead in the SEC West tonight, and we should have beat that team in Death Valley.
We should have.
So take some pride in also knowing that this team has potential to be the best of the best. But I'm looking at the positive side. I'm trying to neglect all of the negatives out of my mind and just think about moving forward. We got to win. We're 6-3 right now with a chance to we're going to beat East Tennessee State, and then we've got 2 more games with Georgia at home and Ole Miss on the road. Next week, Georgia at home, massive game. Number 1, more than likely in the nation, coming to your house, sold out game, first sold out game of the season in Davis Wade. Any chance we hang with the Georgia Bulldogs next week?
They looked good today. They looked scary good today. I am absolutely terrified of them next weekend. I'm going to be honest. If our boys were scared of the Alabama A, then they're quaking in their boots right now.
Okay, so
to play Georgia.
That's the thing. I think we're scared of the Alabama A because we play them every single year. I think with Georgia, it's completely different.
It is different. It is different. They don't feel the same way, and they should be more afraid of Georgia than they should be Alabama. And I don't think we are, and I think that's a good thing. We've got them in Davis Wade. We are coming off of an SEC win, and honestly, maybe it's better that we didn't win big against Auburn because now it's like, look, boys, we barely beat Auburn. How in the heck are we going to beat Georgia if we don't pick it up? Like Georgia is hands down, even if they don't win the national championship at the end of the year, Georgia is hands down, no questions about it, the number 1 best team in the country right now. There is nobody that is better than Georgia. If we beat Georgia, it's because we did that the one time out of 10 that we would have beat them. They are a really, really good football team. We could still win next weekend. It is in Davis Wade. They are traveling on the road. We saw them struggle against Mizzou. I said it earlier today. We're looking like Mizzou. We're Mizzou in the West. So, I mean, there's a good chance.
Hey, I still think if they do what they did against Missouri, we will beat them.
We will beat them. We match up well. Man coverage a lot. We do match up well against Georgia. Let's just be honest. I think Tennessee matched up well against Georgia, and we saw what happened to them tonight.
Hey, I'm putting my hope, and they put all their emotions into this week's game, and maybe they just come in with nothing left in the tank. Real quick, Parker Young sends in, is there any way we beat Ole Miss at the end of the season? We got less than a minute.
Absolutely, there is. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in that game. Will Rogers is going to have to be different. He can't play like he's played. He can't play like he's ever played ever before. He has to be different in that game to win against a rival at their stadium. Absolutely. We can win that game anytime. It doesn't matter. We could be 0-11. They could be 11-0. We could win that game, vice versa. You know, we could be 11-0. They could be 0-11. They could win that game. You never know what's going to happen, but Will Rogers has got to be different.
He's got to play like a winner for us to win that game. That was fun. Bulldogs win in overtime. They got a dub. We got another SEC West win under our belt, 39-33, Bulldogs in overtime. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to our YouTube Live. We'll catch y'all next week on the podcast. Subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Cowbell Off Campus and follow White Nation on Twitter.
Hell State, baby.